Hello and welcome to this ASMR video. Today we're gonna be checking this fairly old book. Here in the cover it says Pitman's Book Keeping Simplified. And this book is almost 100 years old, I believe. But before we start reading what this book can tell us, I'm just gonna light a candle here. Just so the ambient looks better. Okay, so as we open this book, we see that someone wrote here Kingston, Jamaica. I think it says here BWL. And before I said that this book is almost 100 years old, but now I'm saying that it's older than 100 years old, because here it says January 1923. I think it also says here Jose Garcia and the middle grade school, I think. So someone called Jose Garcia already had this book 102 years ago in what seems to be a middle school in Kingston, Jamaica. Here we can say the inside cover that says Pitman Bookkeeping Simplified, a guide to the principles and practice of double entry bookkeeping, which I think it's a sufficiently boring topic so that you can easily get to sleep if we read about it. It also says here with exercises in partnership on departmental accounts, joint accounts, consignment accounts, etc., etc. I like that it says etc. twice. And numerous specimen examination papers of the principal examining bodies, which I think tells us that this book is sort of a study guide for someone who wants to go inside the trade of accounting. Here you can see that it says Moore, Marshall and Company, printers, booksellers and stationers. And this seal is from Port of Spain, Trinidad, which would be nowadays, of course, Trinidad and Tobago, the island country in the Caribbean. So this book has traveled at least to Trinidad and Tobago, to Jamaica, and is now in Spain. And from what I've seen, this book may have been printed in London, Bath, which is in the UK, or New York by Sir Isaac Pitman and Sons Limited. Pitman as in the cover. I don't know exactly if this book was printed in England or in New York. I don't know. Okay, so now let's read the preface and then we will read some random chapters in this book. If I see that you like this video at this book. I may do a second part, so stay tuned. Okay, so let's get into it. Preface. The object of this book is to give the student of bookkeeping a knowledge of the subject sufficient to enable him to open, keep, and close any ordinary set of books in a commercial house, and to prepare him for the examinations of the principal examining authorities of the country. It doesn't exactly say which country, does it? Since Bookkeeping Simplified was first issued many years ago, the publishers have received numerous congratulatory letters from successful students who have used the work of their own textbook, and they have also had much gratifying testimony from teachers who have adopted the book in their classes and for private students. It is with the utmost confidence, therefore, that the publishers issue this new, thoroughly revised and enlarged edition, feeling assured that it will enhance the reputation which the volume has already gained as a book whose name exactly expresses its purpose, and that those who use it will be successful as their predecessors in the use of this work. Okay, so it's telling us that this is a second edition at least from a fairly used book that they believe has helped a lot of people. Okay, so we have a table of contents here. We have just read the preface, which is in page 5 with Roman numerals. And then we have introductory, the ledger continued, the journal, posting from the journal, the trial balance and balance sheet, closing and adjusting entries, simple cash book and petty cash book, checks, advanced cash book, purchases and sales, bad debts, profits and losses. I'm interested in this thing, bad debt. Bills of exchange continued, dishonored or renewed bills, returns and allowances, etc. Capital and revenue accounts, trading account, consignments outward, consignments inward, purchases or sales and commission, joint accounts, partnerships, branch and departmental accounts, purchase of a business. We also have contracts, sectional balance sheet ledgers, reserves, inaccurate trial balances, etc. And at the end of the book we have examination papers, which I think we're going to check them, business abbreviations, business terms, and also index. Okay, so I think we can read the introductory. I want to find the place where it says bad debts, profits and losses, which is on page 49. So basically here. And finally we will check some exam papers. I think that's how they call it. Examination papers. So let's get into the chapter 1, introductory. Okay, so here it says that bookkeeping is the art of keeping a clear and correct account of one's pecuniary affairs. It enables a businessman to ascertain at any time the true condition of his business, shows him the exact amount of his income, how much he has gained or lost, and how such gain or loss has arisen. It prevents him from inadvertently exceeding his means. It regulates the amount of his purchases and sales, and it enables him to calculate to a nicety whether his expenses are in proportion to his profits. Various methods may be resorted to for obtaining these results, but all such methods will be based upon the same principles, an explanation of which will be set forth in the following pages. Such principles are the foundation of double entry bookkeeping, the only system which ensures a complete and accurate account of one's business affairs. Double entry is so called because the record of every business transaction involves two entries, in italics. One relating to the giver, who is always called the creditor, and the other to the receiver, who is always called the debtor. The amount of each being, of course, identical. Thus, if I sell goods to John Brown will be debited because he receives. Remember, the receiver is the debtor, the goods, and I shall be credited because I give the goods. Or rather, I am represented, by what I give. The account in my ledger called goods will be credited. But technically in bookkeeping form, John Brown will be debtor, I think, to goods, and goods will be creditor by John Brown. If John Brown pays me cash, I shall be debited. That is, as I am represented by what I received, namely cash, my account for cash will be debited, and John Brown will be credited because he gives. Okay, so they're gonna explain it again. In other words, cash will be debtor to John Brown, and John Brown will be creditor by cash. Such entries as this would be made in a book called a ledger, the most important book in a business house, and one which is absolutely essential for a proper system of accounts. The ledger to which we have alluded is in reality a summary of a number of other books, known as subsidiary books, or books of original entry. The exact nature of these books is determined by the character of the business concerned. Those most commonly in use are the purchases book, for recording purchases on credit, the sales book, for recording sales on credit, returns book, for keeping note of good returned to sellers owed by purchases, bills book, for entering particulars of bills of exchange accepted or received, and the journal, in which entries are made which do not find a place in any of the other books named. In addition to this must be mentioned the cash book, in which all receipts and payments of money are entered. While this is a book of original entry, it also partakes of the nature of the ledger, being in fact a ledger account for cash, kept for convenience in a separate book, it being necessary that entries of cash transactions should be made at the time they occur. All these books will be fully explained later on. All the books used in various trades and businesses will be found to be either variations of or subsidiary to those names above. Okay, so here it's telling us about the different books that this book itself is going to explain. If you see here, we got some examples in the ledger, examples about contracts, and things like that. So I want to check the examination papers just to see if we can solve any of those problems. It says here it comes from page 140 to page 252, so almost half of this book is entirely composed of examination papers. Basically, all of this are examination papers. So let's take some examples of what they were asking. 102 years ago. Okay, so the first examination paper that we find is called Exercise 27 by the Royal Society of Arts examination, which makes me think this book is actually from London. Okay, so question A here says, draw a form of cash book and enter 6 items on each side so as to show the mode of working bank account, cash in hand, and discounts and allowances. I don't know if these problems are actually solved anywhere. No, I don't think so. Okay, so question B says, what is a bill of exchange? State its essential features. Explain how by its use, Ivan Kalilov, merchant of St. Petersburg, being indebted £525 to John Jones of Cornhill, remits him that amount to London. Question C says, William Stokes and John Wright, silk mercers, had respectively capital on 1st January 2,126 pounds 15 shillings, I believe, and 1,850 pounds 10 shillings, and the liabilities on that day were, and it goes on to give us a list of liabilities: bills payable, Philip Jones. Here it's £178, 10 shilling, and I cannot remember the last unit. I think it's before decimal currency. It also gives us their assets, bill in hand, book debts. This gives you the full ledger, and it's gonna ask you to, I don't know, do something with this. It says it here. You are required to record and post this in proper technical language, and having balanced the accounts to draw a total balance, profit and loss account, balance sheet with profits for losses dividend equally, after crediting 5% interest on capital, and carried to the partner's capital accounts. Okay, so it gave us all this information, and we have to put it in the proper language, which I clearly cannot do. Okay, so let's also check some random business terms. For example, audit, which means to examine accounts by reference to vouchers and testify as to their correctness. We also have, for example, a deposit, which is a sum of money other than a current account placed in a bank on deposit at interest. It can be withdrawn by giving the agreed number of days notice. So this is the kind of account when you put some money and it continuously grows at a given rate, and the side effect is that you cannot take the money, you cannot withdraw it immediately. You usually have to tell them with some number of days. This is an interesting one. Dividend, the portion allotted to each shareholder in the division of profits, or the installments paid by a bankrupt state to the creditors. I didn't know the second definition. I only knew about the first one, which is when you own shares of a company. Sometimes every month, every trimester, the company will share some of the profits to the shareholders. So, for example, for every share that you own on a given company, you will get some money. Okay. Warehouse. It gives us a definition on what a warehouse is, which is a storehouse for goods or merchandise for temporary preservation. Okay. So, just in the end of this book, we have some catalog on all the books by the same publisher, which it's Pitman's commercial series, a classified list of books suitable for use in evening schools and classes, and for reference in business houses. So you could go and buy a series of books if you had an evening school. And they have a bit of everything that you need to basically do business. This time, arithmetic, bookkeeping, which is obviously this one, business training, businessmen's handbooks, commercial correspondence and composition, commercial geography, I wish I had this one, commercial history, commercial law, commercial products, commercial readers, elementary law, handwriting, languages, marine law, mercantile law, notebooks, practical primers of business, shorthand, stock exchange, traders' handbooks, and typewriting. It's curious to me that they have a book on handwriting and also typewriting. I guess it wasn't that common at that time. Sir Isaac Pitman and Sons Limited, 1 Amen Corner, London, and at Bath, New York. Okay. So here it says that you have like all this series of books. I thought those titles that I've just read were the titles of the books, but it just seems to be like the category of their catalog of all these books. I want to say about the business geography. Rubber and the rubber market. It's in a specific topic. Commercial geography. The British Empire abroad. Naval and military stations. Canada, Newfoundland, Australia, Tasmania, New Zealand, the British Empire in Asia and Africa, the British West Indies, etc. Foreign countries. Europe generally. France, Germany, Holland, Russia, Belgium, Spain, Denmark, Sweden, Norway, Italy, Switzerland, Austria, Hungary. This still existed at that time. Portugal, Turkey, and Greece. Minor European countries. Asia generally. North America generally, the United States, Mexico, and the republics of Central America, South America generally, and the states of South America. We also have some periodicals, the Magazine of Commerce and British Exporter, Pitman's Journal, Pitman's, Shorthand Weekly, Commercial Teachers Magazine, The Success Ladder. A monthly magazine of cheer, progress, optimism, encouragement, and helpfulness for everybody. Monthly. So, this is at the end of this book. I found this interesting, and I think that with this I will end this video. It says that any who may happen to be in the neighborhood of St. Paul's Cathedral in London are cordially invited to visit Sir Isaac Pitman & Sons showroom at 14 Warwick Lane, where the publications may be examined at later. I think I will do some tapping, and if I can, I will try to find some more info about these publishers and even a street picture of this place to show you if it still exists. So, without further ado, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please consider giving it a like and subscribe. And if you're interested in knowing more about this book, or maybe some of the particular chapters, please leave a comment down below and I will try to do my best. Thank you for watching, and until the next video.